Let's get something straight, because this one lie ruins people for years. Most people don't actually miss you. They miss how you made them feel when you were in their life. Now, that sentence probably sounds harsh because it feels like a personal attack on your ego. But that ego is exactly what keeps heartbroken people feeling confused, hopeful, and completely stuck. You want to believe if they really knew my value, they'd come back. But that's not it. If they truly needed how you made them feel, they never would have left in the first place. Here's the critical difference nobody ever explains. Missing a person and missing a feeling are not the same thing. When someone genuinely misses a person, they try to repair things. They accept responsibility for their part. They're willing to go through discomfort to keep the bond alive, and they show consistency. When you remove your attention, it creates an imbalance. That imbalance creates curiosity, and curiosity can lead to regret. This isn't romance. It's pure psychology. The silent mistake that so many heartbroken people make is that you keep trying to prove your worth, your loyalty, and your sincerity to someone who has already decided that the feeling you provided was replaceable. That isn't strength. That's self-abandonment. True healing begins when you stop trying to convince them of your value and start rebuilding it for yourself. Chasing isn't love, it's a power transaction. And the person being chased almost always knows this. Even if they pretend they don't, when someone chases you, three things happen psychologically. First, your ego inflates. Someone investing so much effort confirms your value without you having to earn it. Second, you get control without responsibility. All the attention, none of the commitment. And third, there's a powerful asymmetry. One person wants more, the other gets to decide more. That imbalance is addictive. People rarely stop someone from chasing them because it feels flattering. They only put a stop to it when it becomes inconvenient or threatens their self-image. Until then, they let it continue. You'll hear lies they tell themselves and you, like, I don't want to hurt them, or I'm confused, I just need time. But the reality is, they enjoy the emotional leverage. The chase gives them validation, reassurance, and an emotional supply without requiring anything in return. That's not confusion. That's comfort. So, why does rejection make the chaser more obsessed? This isn't poetic, it's neurological. Rejection triggers uncertainty, an ego injury, and the loss of control. Your brain hates unfinished business. So instead of letting go, it starts asking questions. What did I do wrong? What if I tried a different approach? Maybe if I just fix myself. Rejection doesn't make you want the person more. It makes you want to get that feeling of control back. That is why people obsess over those who rejected them, but feel indifferent toward those who actually wanted them. And here's a tough truth. Kindness doesn't stop obsession, but indifference does. Kindness keeps hope alive, and hope keeps that painful loop open. Indifference slams it shut. This is why mixed signals are so addictive, why soft rejections hurt more than brutal ones, and why the phrase, let's stay friends, just prolongs the suffering. Your brain prefers certainty, even painful certainty, over ambiguity. Now, have you ever noticed that the person who leaves often comes back later? At first, leaving feels like a relief. It's freedom, it's lightness. Then reality sets in. The routine is different. The attention fades, and any replacement loses its novelty. That's when their brain finally notices an absence. Not the absence of you, but the absence of how it felt to be desired without any effort. And that's when they reach out. Casually, indirectly, just testing the waters. They're not looking to commit. They're just checking if the door is still open. The biggest mistake people make is responding to that message with emotion. They explain themselves, they reopen access, and instantly, the power shifts right back to where it was. The curiosity vanishes, the imbalance resets, and the respect drops again. Because access without cost has no value. So how do you change this dynamic with silence? Silence removes the feedback they crave. No feedback creates uncertainty, and uncertainty forces them to reflect. When you stop reacting, the chase stops, their ego deflates, and the power redistributes. Silence doesn't manipulate. It reveals. It shows you who misses having control over you and who actually misses having a connection with you. Think about it. During a relationship, power often belongs to the one who cares less. But after a breakup, power belongs to the one who detaches first. Detachment removes predictability. It cuts off their emotional supply, and it restores your own self-direction. And self-direction is incredibly attractive, not because it's a game, but because it signals strength. That's why explaining yourself weakens your position. Explanation seeks understanding, and understanding seeks approval. The moment you start justifying why you mattered, you're admitting you doubt your own value. People don't respect what doubts itself. And what about closure? Most of the time, closure isn't for healing. It's for their comfort. It allows the other person to leave without feeling guilty. The one left behind gets some answers, sure, but the one who left gets peace of mind. That's not balance, that's just more loss for you. We often confuse this intense emotional pain with love. Pain is intense, love is calm. After a breakup, the intensity remains, but the calm is gone. Your brain mislabels that pain as love. But obsession isn't love, it's withdrawal. And Withdrawal always lies about what things mean. Real power doesn't return to you through revenge or proving a point or being cold. It returns when you stop narrating your pain to everyone, when you stop reacting to their breadcrumbs, and when you stop giving them access without effort. The moment someone cannot predict your response, they lose psychological control over you. And for most, it's that control, not true affection, that they really miss. Let us talk about the part of breakups that people hate to admit because it points the finger right back at them. Most people who get their hearts broken don't lose the relationship because they weren't good enough. They lose it because they became too safe, too available, and way too predictable. And here is the hard truth. Attraction simply cannot survive in an environment where there is no risk, where nothing can ever be lost. There's this dangerous myth that says, if I treat them perfectly, they'll stay. It sounds mature and healthy, right? But in modern dating, it's psychologically wrong. When someone feels that you're guaranteed that you'll always forgive them, always be available, and always be the understanding one, their nervous system relaxes. And when it relaxes, desire drops. The urgency disappears. You didn't become more lovable. You became background noise. This is why respect always comes before love. People don't leave relationships because the love is gone. They leave because respect has eroded. And respect erodes when your boundaries are weak, your standards are flexible, and your consequences just don't exist. You can love someone deeply, but you'll still walk away once that respect drops below a certain level. That's why you hear people say, I still care about you, but I'm just not in love with you anymore. What they're really saying is, you stopped feeling valuable in my world. Let's be honest about overgiving. It isn't kindness. It's fear disguised as kindness. If you were the one who always initiated, always fixed the problems, always apologized first, and always compromised, you weren't being the mature one. You're just afraid of loss. And behavior that comes from a place of fear never creates attraction. It creates a control imbalance. The more you invest emotionally, the less the other person has to. And that imbalance is a killer for desire. Here's something brutal but real. Loyalty is invisible until it's gone. Loyalty, consistency, reliability, none of these things feel exciting or intense in the moment. So, when someone has it all the time, their brain just stops noticing. It's only when that loyalty disappears that their brain registers its value. That's the real reason people say, I didn't realize what I had until it's gone. It's not because they suddenly changed. It's because your absence finally restored the contrast they needed to see your worth. Think about what happens when you chase someone. When you chase, explain yourself, or beg, you think you're showing how deep your feelings are, but what you're actually showing is emotional dependence, low self-trust, and a deep fear of being alone. Humans are instinctively wired to move away from people who seem like an emotional burden. It's not a conscious decision. It's a subconscious reaction. Attraction isn't based on empathy. It's based on perception. This brings us to the great paradox of modern relationships. People say they want emotional availability, vulnerability, and honesty. But what they actually respond to is confidence, self-control, and independence. This contradiction is what confuses so many of us. You think, I did everything they said they wanted. Why did it fail? Because what people say they want and what they respond to on an emotional level are two very different things. And here's the dark psychology of why they stop missing you after you've overextended yourself. When someone knows you'll always answer their call, always forgive them, and always be there waiting, your absence doesn't create a sense of loss. It creates a sense of relief. Relief from responsibility, relief from guilt, relief from accountability. This is why some people don't miss you right away. They enjoy the freedom first. The missing only begins when that freedom starts to feel like emptiness. You might have told yourself, I'm being mature by staying calm and understanding, but maturity without self-respect is just self-erasure. Real maturity includes the strength to walk away, the courage to say no, and the wisdom to let people lose access to you. If someone never fears losing you, they will never fully value you. Not emotionally, and not psychologically. This is why silence is so much more powerful than a long explanation. Silence creates uncertainty, while explanation gives them closure. And closure is what helps people move on comfortably. That's why long emotional messages actually reduce attraction. Over communication weakens your position. Silence, on the other hand, forces their mind to fill in the gaps. And more often than not, the mind fills those gaps with regret. The truth about being replaceable is this: on a feelings level, everyone is. What makes you less replaceable isn't how much love you give, but how much respect you command. And respect comes from your standards, your limits, and your own self-direction. It never comes.
Have you ever been replaced in a relationship and felt like it meant you were weak or not good enough? I'm here to tell you that's not true. Being replaced isn't proof you were weak. It's proof the other person couldn't sit with the emptiness they felt. See, most people don't actually replace you, the person. They replace the function you served. And once you truly get that, the pain starts to change. Let's break down how emotional replacement really works. People don't just wake up one day and decide they're done with you forever. Instead, they decide, I don't want to feel this discomfort anymore. So, they find someone new to fill the gaps. They replace the attention you gave them with new attention, your validation with someone else's, and the intimacy you shared with the excitement of novelty. It's not because the new person is better. It's because the brain is wired to seek immediate relief over long-term depth. Replacement is just emotional anesthesia. This is why it feels so inhuman when you're the one left behind. You stayed, you sat with the pain. You were present with it. They ran from it. So when you see them on social media, smiling, posting, already dating someone new, your brain immediately concludes, I meant nothing to them. It's an understandable conclusion, but it's false. What really happened is that they avoided their grief, while you were brave enough to face it. In the short term, their avoidance might look like strength, and your processing might look like weakness. But trust me, in the long term, those roles completely reverse. This is also why these fast replacements rarely last. They're built on a shaky foundation of unresolved emotions, borrowed excitement, and bonding that's based on distraction. There's no real substance, only momentum. Once that shiny newness fades, the same emptiness they were running from comes right back, because it was never about you in the first place. This is why you see people repeat the same toxic patterns, the same fights, the same endings, just with different faces. So, please, stop comparing yourself to the replacement. Comparison is a trap. It makes you assume the new person has your depth, that their bond is just as strong, and that you were simply outclassed. None of that is guaranteed to be true. You're ignoring the real context, the timing, the emotional avoidance, the rebound dynamics. You weren't defeated. You were emotionally skipped over, and that is a very different thing. I know it's tempting to want revenge. It feels powerful for a moment, but then it just exposes your own attachment, resentment, and unhealed wounds. True power lies in indifference. It's quieter, but it's far more potent. Nothing unsettles someone more than the realization that they no longer occupy any space in your mind. And as you heal, make sure your self-improvement is for you, not to show them what they lost. If you're improving just to prove a point, they still have control over you. Real growth happens when your goals no longer have anything to do with them. When your daily routine isn't haunted by their memory, and when your silence is genuine. When your growth is internal, it doesn't need an audience. That's when it truly sticks. Don't become cold. That's just another reaction. The goal isn't to harden your heart, it's to detach cleanly and find your freedom. You'll know you've truly moved on when your energy shifts. You stop checking their profiles. You stop explaining yourself. You stop reacting. Your presence becomes self-contained. And funny enough, that's often when the people who ignored you suddenly notice you again. Not because they love you, but because their control over you has vanished. But remember, not everyone comes back. And that's a good thing. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means some people are only capable of shallow connections. Once you cut off their access, there's nothing left for them to miss. That isn't a loss, it's clarity. You don't want to be remembered just for what you provided. The final, most powerful shift happens when you do this work. Your mind will stop asking, why wasn't I enough? And it will start asking, why did I ever tolerate less than I deserved? That shift is permanent. It changes who you choose, what you allow, and how you walk away from things that aren't for you. And once that happens, heartbreak loses its power over you for good. Thanks for watching.